Welcome to episode 33 of the 24-Hour Hustle Show, and today we got special guest, founder and president of Benefits Plus, Marlin Woods. Welcome to the 24-Hour Hustle Show. I'm your host, Anthony Freeze, and this is the show where we get to sit down with amazing, accomplished guests and get to find out all about their 24 hours and get a chance to hear about their stories, their struggles, and also their success. Also, if this is the first time you are hearing about us, definitely make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell so you can get these notifications every Friday at 12 p.m. But today, we got my man, Marlin Woods. It is definitely an honor and a privilege to have you on the show. This has definitely been an episode for a long time we've been trying to put on, but we finally get the opportunity to do it today, so yeah. I'm glad to have you on the show, brother.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I appreciate it.
It's an honor. It's an honor.
Awesome. Well, good stuff. So
let's talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk. So for people who don't know who you are yet, give us your name, your background, and all the great things that you're doing here in the city of Pittsburgh.
Sure. So, as you know, I'm Marlin Woods, and I'm the founder and president of Benefits Plus Consulting, which is a vendor management consulting firm. Quite plainly, we are the proverbial middleman. We vet health and welfare benefits vendors for corporate employers, and we do this nationally. So, the health and welfare benefits vendors, and this is any vendor from cybersecurity to pet insurance, and there is a spider.
Oh my gosh, there is a spider.
That's cool. I like live TV. I like that.
This is, and we're not editing.
I like it. Don't edit. Get the spider.
Out.
I like it.
Y'all probably can't even see it, but it is just there.
Yeah, I like it.
But yeah, we're gonna let
him ride.
Yeah,
there you go.
Leave you be.
So go on, Spidey. So.
He didn't die after all.
After all, right. Spoiler alert, just in case you hadn't seen it. I was mad about it, but I'm all right now. I'm okay. I got some scenarios in my head that might be. Right. And thanks for inviting me as well.
No problem.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's an inside thing, but we'll get to that. Nevertheless, we vet health and welfare benefits vendors. When I say health and welfare benefits, that's employee benefit solutions and organizations that provide employee benefit solutions to corporations. So that the corporations can sell those benefits to their employees. Or, I'm sorry, not sell, but offer them to their employees. So the vendors come through us nationally. Like I said, anything from cybersecurity to voluntary benefits to health plans to on-site clinics. They come through Benefits Plus Consulting to interface with the employer community. We represent the employer. The employer then solicits us to vet these health and welfare benefits vendors based on their custom criteria, based on the solutions or whatever it is that their organizational goals are in the way of employee benefit solutions to attract and retain top talent through benefits or providing benefits.
Right.
So that's what we do. We don't get into plans. We're not a broker. We broker brokers. We broker vendors who sell those solutions to employers, and then we represent the employer to make for certain they have a customized fit. So that's what we do.
Well, that's good stuff.
Yeah, man. So
what inspired you to get that started?
So I call it my path to niche.
Okay.
So started as a banker. I have an eclectic background in terms of my employment. I was once a radio disc jockey.
Really?
Years ago. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, man. Once a professional model. After that, so that was a long time ago, and about 30 pounds ago, 30 pounds less muscle than then. That was a long time ago. So when I met my wife, she said, you were entirely too frail. But back then, but nevertheless, I call it my path to niche, and from a banker on to then in investments, as a financial advisor. And from a financial advisor to the mutual side of the business, I went on with Mass Mutual, which is where I really cut my teeth, which is where my mentors are, and they remain there at Mass Mutual. The firm is called Financial Designs of Mass Mutual. They were in the Bruner Building. Now they're in the PPG Building in downtown Pittsburgh. And so from there, I left and went on with Colonial Life as a broker with another organization out of Ohio. And so I received a substantial commission check, a very substantial commission check. And, I told my wife, I showed my wife, the paper that they provide, it was, direct deposit, but nevertheless, they provided with paper. So I showed my wife the check, and I said, she said, obviously that's great, how your wife would respond. And then, and then I said to her very seriously and very soberly, I said, imagine what the firm made.
Yeah.
If they're paying me this from that, then imagine what the firm made from this.
Right. A lot of people don't think like that.
So I paused, and then I looked back at her, and I said, I can do this for us. I can do this myself for us. And your wife, when you have a substantial commission check in her face, and you're saying, well, I could go do this on her, then the initial look or the knee jerk isn't, that type of look in her eyes isn't so supportive right then and there.
Right. In the moment. Right.
Nevertheless, my wife being who she is, she looked back at me and said, let's do it. Now let's meant me, but she said, let's do it, So I hired an attorney, a business attorney, and an investment strategist, and some other folks, in the way of an advisory board. And we launched Benefits Plus Consulting I also hired a bookkeeper as well, back in March 13th of 2013.
Okay.
So it has been 5 years.
Congratulations.
We hit the ground running, and we haven't looked back. Our first client was Giant Eagle.
Wow, that's a big client for your first one.
Yeah, we landed that in May of 2013. So then I started to attract to myself consultants, that work with me on a 1099 basis, and we have been family ever since, and we've been growing and growing.
Well, that's good stuff.
So yeah.
What's some good insight, or what would you say was maybe one of the biggest initial struggles of getting that started, and what would you say was like some of the biggest lessons you learned?
I like that question. So the biggest obstacle or hurdle to starting your own enterprise or your own practice is the wherewithal. Mm-hmm. It is the wherewithal to make the leap, as they call it, into entrepreneurship. And so once you overcome the hurdle of your emotions from fear, that are founded in fear, that you won't succeed, or that it'll cost too much, or whatever, or that you're not educated enough, or that you don't have the right network, whatever your seemingly your obstacles are, you have to overcome those first. Which for me, that wasn't a hurdle for me. For me, I'm a jump in with 2 feet kind of guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, and that doesn't make me better. It's just not one of my issues. It's not one of my idiosyncrasies. And so, it's overcoming that initial obstacle, which is when people ask me all the time when they come for business coaching and that kind of thing, how did you start your business? What did you do? Well, the first thing you got to overcome is the obstacle of fear to start it. Because so many people want to do this, and so many people want to do that, and they want to write a book, which I've done as well, and they want to start a business, or they want to start a practice, or they want an LLC, or they want a nonprofit or a 501c3, but it is merely in the want that it remains. So once you overcome that, then it's a strategic initiative after that. Now it's a strategic process from that point. You've got to pull into you right individuals, not an all-star team of whom you think is the greatest of this or that, but individuals who have experience in this, who'd like to help you. Now, they may not do this primarily, like my bookkeeper. He wasn't a certified public accountant, but he was well-versed in accounting. And so, he began to help with our books and that type of thing to keep us honest with the IRS, and to keep us, on the straight and narrow, there, and to keep us above board there as well. My business attorney that I hired, Anthony, I met him in BNI, Business Networking International. I was in BNI for a short time, because what I did, it wasn't a fit for BNI and how that structure is. But while I was there, I met my business attorney, who was David Maness. And David was just starting his practice. He's down in the Steel Building downtown Pittsburgh, but he was just starting his practice, so it was inexpensive for me. to have him file the paperwork and get us launched as an LLC, from that standpoint. And our investment strategist was my best friend, who is an investment banker with PNC, has been there for 25 years, in the name of Jeffrey Gray.
Okay.
So when you put those components together, now you have a team around you. And then I had some advisors of people who, in my network who doing, marvelous things like developing hotels, and other folks that you have in your network that you seek for advice.
Right.
So having all of that put together, we were able to launch Benefits Plus Consulting just with the network that I had, around me immediately, your immediate network. Mm-hmm. So, I encourage you to begin to comb through your relationships with a fine-tooth comb. Because the network or the relationships I had around me at that time allowed me to be able to launch this organization that has grown. But if I had, a bunch of broke folks and naysayers and whomever, other than the network that I had, then I would still be in want.
Right.
So, it's now your responsibility, whomever's listening, who desires to, launch into entrepreneurship or your own practice, whether it's full-time or part-time, seek around you who's in your immediate space, persons who can help you right now to get you launched. You don't have to have, the certified public accounting firm. You don't have to have, a business attorney like Marcus in Shapiro downtown, who's like family to me. But you don't have to have, an investment strategist, from Goldman Sachs. It can be in your immediate circle. And so your launching is in your immediate circle. It isn't out and beyond and over yonder. It's in your immediate circle. So I would encourage you to look into your immediate circle for those persons. And when I say you, I mean those who are watching. Mm-hmm. So absolutely, man. So that's the long and short of it, of how Benefits Plus came to be.
That's awesome. You definitely have a lot of great wealth of knowledge and just information. Where have you been able to get your information, or how have you been able to develop your mindset? Because I'm a huge believer in you definitely got to develop that first to be able to, overcome that fear and all that different type of stuff to be able to start up a business and have the courage and belief in yourself to do a lot of these different things. So what were some of the things that helped you along the way develop your mindset to where it is today? Because it's polished. I love it.
Oh, man, I appreciate it. That's nice. Exposure. And exposure only comes through relationships. Who are you hanging out with? Mm-hmm. Who are you spending your time with? I'm very fortunate. In fact, by the definition of blessed, I'm very blessed with relationships, again, to reiterate, that were in my immediate circle. Those relationships, those people were in positions of great exposure and great progress themselves. So the progress of the dynamics of progress that these people were experiencing, I'm watching. And you begin to aspire because aspiring happens when you're inspired. Mm-hmm. So I was inspired because I'm seeing these people live how they want to live. And you begin from inspiration, aspiration. And so aspiration happens. And once aspiration happens, now you need the connectivity to persons who can actually flip the switch for you. Mm-hmm. And so when I say flip the switch, I mean turn it over, which means that this person can write your books. This person can advise your money. This person can get you an LLC, mm-hmm. right in your immediate circle. Nevertheless, to answer your question more pinpoint, I overcame or was able or had the mentality that I had due to the relationships I had. First, going back to my parents, starting. My father is a stickler for grammar and English, writing, and speech, and enunciation and pronunciation and not speaking or not talking with slang, or I'm sorry, not with slang, but with an accent of any kind. I'm born and raised in Pittsburgh, but you'd never know, because my father was funny about, diction and enunciation. So, And my mother is an interior designer, so we lived in beautiful spaces, and so, having parents who also had a mentality of progress, of excellence, and that's highly important. Excellence is where the initial exposure came from. And then fostering relationships. My mother used to say, you don't choose your friends, I choose your friends. I pick your friends. I brought some young man, but we were teenagers, pulled up into our driveway with his system on crank. This is back when booming systems and people used to drive those Eagles, whatever. Booming system. I'm a lot older than I look, but used to drive Eagles, and and they had these booming systems that the whole kicker took up the back trunk. Oh yeah. That kind of thing. We pulled up in our driveway with the music loud, and my father said, "Who is that boy?" Mm-hmm. My mother said, "He is never allowed back here again. He is never allowed back here again." Mm-hmm. That's when she told me, "You don't choose your friends. We choose them, because if he's willing to drive up into your driveway with your parents and your siblings here, with that kind of stuff going on, with that type of music and that type of explicit, content in that music, and he's that bold, then he's not somebody that you need to be spending your time with." Mm-hmm. So she started, choosing my friends. She said, you can be with him, not him, so that kind of thing. So exposure, fast forward to today, to the adult, how do you overcome what the mentality, how do you achieve or acquire this particular mentality? It's through relationships of people who can expose you to a world outside of your own bubble. Mm-hmm. That's the key, getting outside of your bubble. And first, recognizing that there is a world outside your own bubble, because we all live in a bubble until you meet somebody, that lives outside of your own reality, and then you're introduced to a whole other world. So exposure through relationships is how I was able to expand my own thinking.
That's awesome. Well, that's good stuff.
That was the long-winded version.
Yeah. It's all good. And I mean, there's a lot of good insight in there as well. A lot of that I believe in, especially with association. That's key, because one of the things that I feel like develop our mindset the most is the books we read and the people we associate with.
There you go.
So that's one of the reasons why I asked, and you definitely hit on the point of association strongly, and it's tried and true. I mean, if you want to be able to create the life you want, get around the people that are living the life that you want or desire. And that's truly the key. Yeah. But getting a little bit further along, before we get to talking about the great, hugely successful seminar that you were able to put on, when we got together for a cup of coffee, one of the things that I was highly impressed by was when we were talking about dreams versus your burden. I was.
I think Rob, you've heard this before. Yeah, right.
I was like, yo, this is amazing right here. I was like, we definitely got to talk about this. So, for the people at home, who don't know what your dream versus your burden is, share with the people what that means.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. So basically, you're often told, dream big, pursue your dreams, achieve your dreams, or catch your dreams, or dream. Dream is in your face everywhere. It's often provided, for motivational purposes, to create the aspiration again. But the problem with the dream is that it does not inspire. Therefore, the aspiration oftentimes dies. How do we know? Dreams are influenced by popularity. So a dream happens through a persuasive influence of popularity. What am I saying? When you were in kindergarten, there was a police officer that came to your class. Maybe they haven't done this after the 80s, but they did it when I was in kindergarten in the 70s. And he was called Officer Friendly. And he used to give us these little felt badges to every kindergarten class. So when the police officer came to your school at 5 years old and you saw him, the one thing in life that you wanted to do was be a police officer. And then after that, you saw the police officer. Now your dream in life was to be a police officer. Here's the problem with dreams. They change. and they change with the newest influence of popularity. The officer friendly, was an influence of popularity. So then after that, I'll give you my own story. I saw Lynn Swann play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, number 88. And then it went from being a police officer to now wanting to be a wide receiver in the NFL. And everything that I did from that point on was to be a wide receiver in the NFL because of how graceful and how incredibly, beautiful Lynn Swann played. So I wanted to be Lynn Swann, or to be a wide receiver in the NFL. I wanted to be a football player. And then from there, I had this gift to draw. And I could draw really well. So my mother used to say, he's going to be Marlin's going to be an architect someday. And because my mother said I'm going to be an architect someday, when people asked me what I wanted to be, you know what I said? I'm going to be an architect. And so now it changes with every influence of popularity. The versus the burden. We're not managing according to dreams. You don't achieve according to dreams. You achieve according to burdens. Why? The burden is according to the design by which you were created for. There is an opportunity that existed prior to your existence, which is why you exist. And there is a burden in your heart that weighs heavy on your shoulder to solve or to create according to this particular burden as it relates to answering that opportunity. So, Anthony, you are a solution. I am a solution. Rob is a solution. You, watching, you are a solution. That's what you are. When people ask who you are, it's not your name, it's not what you do, it's not what you believe spiritually. It's you are a solution specifically given to solve a particular problem based on a design by which you were created. And so, there is a burden that rests on your shoulders. And this thing keeps you up at night. This is the thing that you think about. Your dream doesn't keep you up at night. Your dream causes you to be distracted during the day. So the burden keeps you up at night, but the dream is distracting. Not only that, but the dream fades and the burden remains. The one thing that happens with a burden is that it continues to press and press and press to where it frustrates you into creating a solution. So now, because you are the created, you reproduce after that, and you now continue to create through the burden. You don't create through dream. Dream, you're inundated with pursuit. And pursuit denotes it's eluding you, or it's running from you, or it's always away. So when they say, catch your dreams, or I'm living my dreams, that is absolutely impossible. And so, but the burden, however, you can create solutions from your design based on the burden that weighs upon your shoulders to answer that problem. This is where entrepreneurship lives. Entrepreneurship lives in the solution of the burden that rests upon your shoulders that you can't shake, that you can't get rid of, that you can't run from, no matter what. Now, you've had this dream to do that. I'm sure in your own life you wanted to do this once upon a time. And you wanted to do that once upon a time. But there was this one pressing thing that you couldn't explain. You didn't know how to answer it. You didn't know how to even go about soliciting the folks, to articulate what it was. But you knew what it was. Unable to verbally articulate it, you knew that it existed. So the burden doesn't change. The burden doesn't die. The dream changes and the dream fades. The dream dies into a new one based on influence of popularity. The burden isn't influential. The burden is pressing. The burden angers. So, the frustration of the burden ignites you to create. So it's inspirational within itself, whereas you aspire through motivation to achieve through the creation from your design an opportunity that existed prior to you getting here. So I hope you were able to understand that. So
absolutely.
So it all starts with an opportunity prior to you. Now you're created for the opportunity. And now you have a burden that seeks to create around solving this particular opportunity. In other words, to bridge gaps somehow, to add value somehow. The dream is about you. Dream big, dream this, dream that. That's about you. I want that car. I want that house. I want that woman. I want that man. It's about you. I want that watch. I want that this. I want that. It's about acquisition and hoarding to oneself. That's what the dream is. That's what it provides. It's about you. It's selfish in nature. With the burden, it focuses on everyone else that is affected by the gap or by the opportunity that exists that there is no answer for. So, and that's where the seminar came from, and we'll talk about that. But that's the difference between dream and burden.
Absolutely.
You're living with a burden. That's what you create the entrepreneurial endeavor from. Mm-hmm. You don't create it from the dream.
Right.
You create it from the burden. What is pressing you? What's annoying you? What can't you shake? What keeps you up? So
absolutely. I'm so glad you actually got the opportunity to share that here with us, and we got that recorded as well. Because I'm definitely watching that section multiple times, because just recently, before I actually started up 24-hour media and doing the 24-hour hustle show and things like that, I actually started to separate myself from the idea of having a dream and this whole dream big type thing. It was like, and when I sat down with you and you kind of identify what the second part of me like that I was chasing, the burden, it was like that whenever you shared that, I was like, that's what I've been been pursuing. It's like I'm not pursuing this dream thing. I at first, when I was starting to change my mindset on this and having this paradigm shift, it was like, I'm not chasing dreams anymore, I'm chasing goals. And then, but now you also kind of cleared it up for me a lot more as far as like, I'm chasing goals, but I'm also chasing my burden. Like what's always been there from day one.
It's always been there.
So
here's the thing with that. You said I'm chasing burdens. That's an oxymoron. Mm. You don't chase burdens, they chase you.
Right.
That's the difference. Mm. So the dream is while you sleep. The burden keeps you up.
Right.
See the difference? So you're pursuing and chasing dreams. But the burden is pursuing you because it needs a solution. It needs to be solved. And it's like, Anthony, I'm over here.
Right.
And I'm not going away until you create a solution to solve me.
Right.
To fulfill me. Mm-hmm. So that we can solve that together.
Absolutely.
That's the burden.
Absolutely. I'm glad you were able to share on that. Yeah. So let's get to talking about, the seminar that you started and why you started it and, what you're looking to get out of that. And, you just previously had 2 seminars in November of last year and just this past March, which were highly successful. I wish I could have been there. Definitely going to be at the next one. Yeah. But, share with us, where that idea came from and where you see it going in the future.
So I mentor 5 young men, and I'm privileged to mentor these young men. One is a new attorney, just passed the bar exam, got a 6-figure contract with a law firm in town out of college, out of University of Pittsburgh. The other one is at Pitt. He is the captain of the football team at Pitt and is a strong safety. He's a dear young man. The other one also just came out of Grove City in a fellows program to which I was solicited. He was my first to assist in the way of mentoring him because he's a young man of color. And so in a fellows program full of white folks, and so they needed him to see someone that looked like him, and so that's how it initially started. But I've been mentoring him. He came out of Grove City into a fellows program and then went on with intern at John Henney Jewelers, and now he is at Huntington Bank, well on his way into his career in banking. And then the other is a young man who was at IUP, is now into hotel and hospitality management, and has just recently completed an internship in South Florida, to where he is now moving in that direction. And then another one, that's actually 6 of them. Another one is an ex-Steeler, former Steeler, played in the league 12 years, was a cornerback and a safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then the last one is a young entrepreneur who started an app process that now is like an Uber Eats, but it's like a 7-Eleven on wheels. So you can get snacks, soft drinks, everything that you would get at a 7-Eleven or a convenience store. Mm-hmm. He has this food truck, but it's not a food truck. It's really nice. It's kind of like David Allen's situation type truck, gotcha. And he comes and delivers through an app on your phone called VenSpin. So, it's a vending machine on wheels, and you order it on the app and they come to your house. And so these young men, I mentor them. And so another Steeler came to me, current Steeler, I won't name him. He would prefer not to be named, but he came to me asking for mentorship, and quite frankly, he was at the Rivers Club, and I saw him, and he asked for mentorship, and I told him, well, let me, because I don't have the bandwidth. So I told my wife, he asked for mentorship. He approached me and asked me are you Marlin Woods? Yeah, he asked me for mentorship. And I don't have the bandwidth with my business, my family. I'm always in the air. I'm always traveling from city to city, and so I don't have the bandwidth, to mentor even him. So I told my wife, I said, we're good. So I told my wife, I need to do a seminar. Because what ended up happening, Anthony, let me go take you back. What ended up happening was people started calling. They started getting word that I was mentoring this person and that person. So I started getting called from women. My age, younger, older. Men, my age, younger, older. So now I'm getting instant messages from Messenger. Can you sit down with me? Do you have a few minutes? I'd like to interface with you. Do you have some time to talk? LinkedIn. Do you have some time to talk? I'd love to sit down, pick your brain. I'd like to, in a mentorship fashion. And then text message. Hey, bro, Marlon, do you have some time? We can sit down on a regular basis, kind of thing to coach me through some things. So I told my wife, I don't have the bandwidth to mentor everybody. I can't. These 6 young men is all that I have time for. And that's a lot to mentor them because it takes, time to sit down with them and you go through their lives with them, in the way of mentorship. Now, a mentor is not a life coach. We're not a psychologist. We're not a psychiatrist. We're a compass. And we're a compass due to the fact that we have navigated this terrain prior. So our responsibility is to let you know where you are. And then to say, now you make your decision based on where you are. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Your responsibility is to make this decision based on me showing you exactly where you are. Like the legend on the map says at the mall. You are here. You are right here. Now let me tell you what's down there and let me tell you what's down that way. And allow you to make an informed decision from there. So now that person is still in control of their decisions, where they can't blame the mentor for the decisions that they've made, but the mentor is there to merely be a compass. And that's what qualifies you for mentorship, is that you've navigated this terrain before. If you've seen the movie The Rock, Sean Connery, he had to help the United States military break into Alcatraz. Why did they ask him to help them break into Alcatraz? Because he escaped from Alcatraz,
right.
And so when you escape from Alcatraz, he knew all the ins and outs, of Alcatraz. And so that's a mentor, someone that can provide you with compass to say, this is where you are. Now make your decisions from here. Now he didn't tell the military what to do once they got there. He just said, this is where you go. This is where you are, rather. And so the seminar came about. I told my wife, I said, I need to do a seminar where I get everybody who's instant messaging me, text messaging me, LinkedIn me, calling me, and stopping me on the street or in Giant Eagle and saying, hey, do you have some time? Or at the Rivers Club saying, hey, do you have some time? I said, I need to bring everybody into a room, bring some speakers in who are progressive folks, who are experts or, progressive in their own fields or whatever it is that they've done, not just in their business lives, but in life in general. Because mentorship is dealing with the holistic man or woman, dealing with the holistic man, we'll call it, from spirituality, finance, domestic living, which means your household situation, husband, wife, children, parental, that kind of thing, to your, I did say finance, to your health and wellness, your health and well-being, your physical fitness, your eating, all of that stuff that deals with your well-being, to your community, and your community efforts and your social life. So those are 6 components of the holistic man. And we touch those based on the particular speakers that we bring in. And I come in at the end and keynote and provide inspirational reflections at the very end to inspire those folks before they walk out the door, that everything that they heard, now they have a responsibility to move out into. So we put the seminar together. We have it at the Rivers Club, and that's on purpose. That's strategic in nature. We have it at the Rivers Club because most of these people who are coming, the majority of them have never been to the Rivers Club or a private executive club. So here we go with exposure. Back to your one of your first 2 questions. The exposure that you have. Now we're exposing these people to venues that they would have never thought they'd be in. nor would they have known to take out membership if they had the finances to even manage a membership at the Rivers Club. And now they have access to it through the seminar to be in an environment like that, where there are judges, district judges, federal judges, there are attorneys and wealth management investment bankers, and entrepreneurs, multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs, and also billionaires that are walking through the Rivers Club as members. And so to come into a venue like that off the street, this is why I make everyone wear suits and ties and business suits and business dresses and that kind of thing, because it creates a mentality that everybody in the room is coming into a place. First of all, you're not getting in the Rivers Club without it on in the first place. And then secondly, it creates a mentality of this world outside of your bubble that inspires you, that holds your attention while you're there. And so, we put the seminar together. That way I'm able to feed everybody because it's the Rivers Club and it's not burgers and dogs. It's crab cakes and other stuff that I provide with, heavy hors d'oeuvres. The good stuff. So, because this is about, not only that, but the most important key is that it's black only. It's for us. For us, by us. To reset the trajectory of black achievement in this country. We're needing seats at the other table, at the table of our counterparts, and we're jockeying for positions for that one seat that they make available versus creating a table ourselves where that everybody is welcome to the table based on their skill sets and their ability to add value, not just to be there, because there's a pedigree that you need to walk in. Even if you don't come from it, you transition into it, this particular pedigree of adding value. And so, because you then in turn, they say pay it forward, but you turn around and reach back for someone else to pull them into the same kind of mentality, the same type of venue, the same exposures in life, the same relationships. Because in that room, everybody is about progress. So now you have these speakers that come in, Robert Powell, Doris Carson, Rhonda Carson Leach, Dr. Tony Haley. And different names, Attorney Frank Walker, Rob Wilson, the hip hop financial advisor, and so you have these folks that, that come through and many others, to come through who are experts in their space, but also experts, at the holistic man, because these people are healthy. These people are making decisions based upon their design and not dreams. And so, which is where the burden is founded, and they're able to provide holistic training, holistic teaching, most importantly, the word I'm looking for is impartation. So they're making a holistic impartation into you, and then I come in and provide an inspirational message, due to my background as an ordained pastor, an inspirational message that isn't churchy, but that's more inspiring for you to realize all of the 6 components of yourself that you move out in power and that you move out enabled from that point. That's why we call it the Empower Me Motivational Mentorship Seminar. And it started as, it was supposed to be a secret. It was supposed to be invitation only, the first one go around. We only invited 35 people. 60 people showed up.
That's a good turnout.
And they were at the door.
secret is out.
And so my admin called me downstairs. I was downstairs in Rivers Club changing, and she said, there's like 16 people up here that, that were not invited, but they're saying they want to pay their registration to come in. I said, let them in. And so we then, now blasted it out to everybody the second time in November. This past March. And, about 65 folks showed up, 65, close to 70 folks showed up to this particular one when we blasted it out. And, it was wow. And I don't want to be the know-it-all. I want to provide in front of the people, folks who are experts, not just experts, but people who are experienced, who've navigated this terrain before, like Sean Connery in The Rock, navigated this terrain before that says, this is where you are. This is how I navigated this terrain from here. This is where you are and what you can do. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to tell you how it can be done based on you having, the right exposure, the right relationships, and so that's the seminar. You come in, suit and tie, you're fed. Not only that, you're in a room with people who look like you, who also have a suit and tie on. Now there's built-in networking opportunities, right there of people who are experienced. There are mentorship opportunities for the speakers themselves to turn around and mentor the attendees. And there are people who were attendees that also have life coaching practices, law firms, certified public accounting firms that are sitting in the room. Mm-hmm. From the top to the bottom, they're all sitting in the room, and nobody knows who is because everybody has a tie on. That's what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. That's Wakanda.
I love it. I love the movie references too. Yeah, I love movies.
So we're creating Wakanda for ourselves, our own table, that we don't have to jockey for position, because once that happens, then we start behaving a certain way towards one another. So now, because the other counterparts that have their table opened up a seat and you got the seat, now automatically in your understanding, you're better than the one who didn't. Mm. So now we have those type of Negroes. It's like, and so, and you know who they are. Mm-hmm. They act a certain way based on the fact that they occupy the seat, not knowing, or maybe they do know, that they're not brought there to add value in the first place. They're brought there to occupy the seat so that we can pad our diversity efforts. And look ourselves in the mirror. Mm. But this table, for us, by us, has seats available for everybody who is there to add value, to add to Wakanda's expansion. That's the seminar.
That is awesome. that is good stuff. I love the concept, the reasoning behind it, why I got started, and just all the different things that you're looking to add value to other people out of it. I think it's amazing. I think it's awesome. So when is the next seminar gonna be?
So the next seminar is November 20th, 6 p.m. Rivers Club. It's at the Rivers Club for the foreseeable future until I'm inspired to change it. But it's at the Rivers Club on the dining level in one of the ballroom there, same ballroom. Mm-hmm. There will be registration that's going to go up. There's a landing page for you to go register online, pay online. There's dress code, all that stuff is on the landing page. The whole 9 yards. It's all there. Marketing, that kind of thing. Commercial spot that's going on social media is coming out real soon about it, which I'm really excited about in terms of the seminar. And it's not about Marlin Woods. It's about all this collective gathering and collaboration from those in Wakanda who have navigated this terrain before. And their lives show in their financial status or their spiritual, or their health and wellness, their physical fitness, and a combination of all of the above, including marriage enrichment and family enrichment, all of it, and so it addresses the whole man. Mm-hmm. So that's the seminar. But November 20th, Rivers Club, 6 p.m. Registration is going to be out, social media. And if there is no registration, or you don't get an opportunity to see the registration, I just told you, Rivers Club, right? November 20th, 6 p.m. Come on and be there. I believe it's $25 as it stands. They keep trying to get me to raise the price. Even the attendees say, well, this is not that much money for all of this. You can charge $75. But I understand it's us. Right. We act a certain way. As soon as you start raising the price, we get funny acting. It's like,
I know what you mean.
$45. So I understand my people. A lot of money. I know. They hear them talk. I ain't coming to see. Listen, it's $25. Now, eventually we're going to raise the price, as it continues to expand, because, Wakanda was beautiful, man.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it cheap.
No, they did not.
And so they didn't do it cheap. This is how we, compete. Mm-hmm. We can't compete cheap.
Right.
We've got to come with something to the table.
Absolutely.
In order to construct one. So, yeah, man.
Well, that is awesome. Yeah. I'm definitely going to be there this upcoming event for sure. Make sure you are there, because we want to see y'all come out to that. And then as we get closer to wrapping up, two things. Where is the best place people can contact you? And then the final question, what is a 24-hour challenge that you can present to the audience that are watching this right now? Because one of the things that we don't want to happen is people watch this episode, get and hear all this great information and absolutely do nothing with it. So that's why the 24-hour challenge is put in place for people to put action into it and put a time limit on it as well. So first, where's the best place to contact you, and what's a challenge that you would propose to the audience?
So social media outlets like LinkedIn, Facebook, Marlin Woods on LinkedIn, which is probably the best way to reach out to me. I have to put a cap on my Facebook. There's some things that I'm sorry. I'm looking at. Okay, there we go. All right, this is real TV. So Facebook, LinkedIn, Marlin Woods, Marlin. Woods like tiger without the drama. And so, so Marlin Woods, you can also email me at marlinwoods@benefits-plus.us. That's Marlin Woods at benefits-plus.us. And so, LinkedIn, Facebook, and in terms of the 24-hour challenge, first and foremost, you need to go back, rewind the broadcast, and take notes. The compliment to every speaker or public speaker, which is what I do a whole lot of, which is where I spend the majority of my time public speaking in different venues, different stages across the country, is when I see people writing. Because it tells me that one, there's takeaways. Two, they're going to apply this thing. I'm not out there for no reason. Mm-hmm. So go back and take notes, and then start applying the low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit is defined as the opportunities that are right in your face that you can take advantage of right now. So take notes, then apply those notes by reaching out and grabbing the low-hanging fruit and addressing one of those things that you found as a takeaway. One of those things could be looking at the immediate circle that you have in terms of the relationships around you and who can expose you to what outside of your bubble in the way of your entrepreneurial endeavor or your book endeavor, because I'm an author as well, and I just got on my iPad and wrote it. Mm-hmm. So, because it was a burden of mine. Mm-hmm. So I didn't need to study. I needed to go away to a log cabin away from my family. Mm-hmm. I wrote it on my iPad at the foot of my bed. It took me 2 months. Mm-hmm. And it was out, in 4 months. And it became an Amazon bestseller. Go figure. Amazing. I didn't write it for book sales. It turned into that. The CEO of CVS Caremark called me and said, "Hey, Mark, I got a copy of your book. My executives bought it for me for my birthday."
Wow.
Yeah. Come on out to a Chicago Bears game. Sit in my box. Let's talk about how you came up with that concept.
That's amazing.
And stuff like that. From just doing it. Mm-hmm. Write the book. There are editors out there probably in your circle. Somebody edits a book. If you start asking around, go on Facebook. That's a great way. Hey, who edits books? Or manuscripts rather. Somebody will raise their hand. And so it's in your immediate circle. So start with Facebook. Somebody's available to help you. So your 24-hour challenges, go back, take notes, and then pull down the low-hanging fruit by looking at your immediate circle and who's there who can, augment or expand this burden of yours that keeps you up at night. All right? All right.
Awesome. Mr. Woods, we definitely appreciate you for being on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
Ton of information, ton of good insight. This is definitely one of my favorite episodes.
Absolutely. That's nice. Hey.
It truly is. Like you gave up a lot of good insight for sure, a lot of good value. Definitely appreciate you for being on.
It's my honor, and I'm humbled. Really.
Awesome.
This is cool, man.
Finally,
we were able to make it. I was able to make it happen.
Yeah, we got to do it again for sure.
We're definitely gonna do it again.
Absolutely.
But blessings to you. Praying for you. Love you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, so now that we know what Mr. Woods does with his 24 hours, we want to know what you do with your 24 hours. Definitely comment down below of some great insight that you definitely got from this episode. Make sure you subscribe once again, turn on notifications, and we will see you on the next episode.